The Senate will come to order. Senator Garcia.
Thank you, Mr. President. Colleagues and guests, will you please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Majors, please call the roll.
Senators Aguilar, Balmer, Baumgardner, Carroll, Cook, Crowder, Donovan, Garcia, Grantham, Guzman, Heath, Hill, Hodge, Holbert, John, Johnston, Jones, Kafalas, Kerr, Lambert, Lundberg, Marble, Martinez Jimenez, Merrifield, Neville, Newell, Roberts, Scheffel, Scott, Sonnenberg, Stedman, Todd, Ulibarri, Woods. Mr. President.
Here, with 35 present, 0 absent, 0 excused, we have a quorum. Senator Scott.
Whoops, Mr. President, I move the reading of the Journal of Friday, February 27th, be dispensed with, and the Journal be approved as corrected by the Secretary.
You have heard the motion. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. The motion is adopted. The Journal is approved. Senate Services.
March 2nd, 2015, correctly printed, Senate Bills 187, 188, 189, 190, and 191. Correctly engrossed, Senate Bill 138, Senate Joint Resolution 10, correctly revised, House Bills 1022, 1031, 1064, and 1069. Correctly revised, House Bills 1023 and 1029.
Third reading of bills consent. Majority Leader Scheffel.
Thank you, Mr. President. I would request that Senate Bill 102 be removed from the third reading of bills consent calendar and put on the third reading of bills regular calendar.
You have heard the motion. That is not a vote. The third reading of bills consent calendar bill 102 will be put on the third reading of bills calendar.
So now you got to read.
Mr. Majors, would you please read the title of all the bills, the remaining bills, on the third reading of bills consent calendar?
House Bill 1069 by Representative Ryden and Senator Holbert concerning information required to be included in recorded written instruments filed with the county clerk and recorder to claim a homestead exemption. House Bill 1022 by Representative McCann and Senators Stedman and Cook concerning juveniles charged with certain minor offenses. House Bill 1064 by Representative Nordberg and Senator Holbert concerning access to the safe deposit box of a decedent and in connection therewith limiting the obligations of custodians who access the box.
Majority Leader Scheffel.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that the Senate adopt the third reading of bills final passage consent calendar, which includes House Bill 1069, House Bill 1022, and House Bill 1064.
You have heard the motion. Is there any discussion on any of the bills on the third reading of bills consent calendar? Are there any no votes on any of the bills? With 35 ayes, 0 noes, 0 absent, 0 excused, House Bill 1069 is adopted. Co-sponsors. With 35 ayes, 0 noes, 0 absent, 0 excused, House Bill 1022 is adopted. Co-sponsors: Minority Leader Carroll, Senator John, Senator Heath, Senator Aguilar, Senator Merrifield, Senator Guzman, Senator Newell, Senator Kerr, Senator Todd, Senator Garcia, Senator Donovan, Senator Kafalis. Co-sponsors: Senator Ulibarri, co-sponsors: Senator Jones, Senator Johnston. Going once. With 35 ayes, 0 no, 0 absent, 0 excused, House Bill 1064 is adopted. Co-sponsors: Senator Woods, Senator Lambert, Senator Lundberg, third reading of bills. Mr. Majors, please read the title to Senate Bill 100.
Senate Bill 100 by Senator Stedman and Representatives Foot and McCain concerning implementation of recommendations of the Committee on Legal Services in connection with legislative review of rules and regulations of state agencies.
Majority Leader Scheffel.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move the Senate lay over Senate Bill 100 to March 6.
You have heard the motion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Senate Bill 100 will lay over until March 6th. Mr. Majors, please read the title to Senate Bill 104.
Senate Bill 104 by Senator Holbert and Representative Lee concerning the continuation of the Colorado Division of Securities in connection therewith implementing the recommendations of the 2014 Sunset Report by the Department of Regulatory Agencies.
Majority Leader Scheffel.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move the Senate lay over Senate Bill 104 to March 6th.
You have heard the motion. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, no. Senate Bill 104 will lay over until March 6th. Mr. Majors, please read the title to Senate Bill 138.
Senate Bill 138 by Senator Donovan and Representative Wilson concerning funding for the accelerating students through a concurrent enrollment program.
Senator Donovan.
Thank you. I move on third and final passage, SB 138, and I ask for an aye vote.
Is there further discussion on Senate Bill 138? Are there any no votes? Going once. With 35 ayes, 0 no, 0 absent, 0 excused, Senate Bill 138 is adopted. Co-sponsors: Senator Holbert, Minority Leader Carroll, Senator Todd, Senator Marble, Senator Crowder, Senator Kerr, Senator Merrifield, Senator Scott, Senator Heath, Senator Baumgardner, Senator Newell, Senator Jones, Senator Garcia, Senator Kafalis, Senator Roberts, Senator Cook, Senator Neville, Senator John, Senator Todd, Senator Woods, Senator Martinez-Humenick, Senator Guzman, Senator Aguilar, Senator Ulibarri, Senator Sonnenberg, Senator Hodge, Senator Stedman. Would the last three like to co-sponsor? There we go. Senator Johnston, now two. Senator Lundberg, Senator Grantham, Senator Scheffel, already had you. There are 3 left. Please add the president. Mr. Majors, please read the title to House Bill 1031.
House Bill 1031 by Representative Windholz and Senator Todd concerning a ban on powdered alcohol.
Senator Todd.
Thank you, Mr. President. Good morning, colleagues, and I move House Bill 1031 on third and final reading and ask for the passage of 1031.
Is there further discussion on House Bill 1031? Are there any no votes? Senator Marble, Senator Holbert, Senator Sonnenberg, Senator Balmer, Senator Scott, Senator Hill, Senator Baumgardner. With 28 ayes, 7 noes, 0 absent, 0 excused, House Bill 1031 is adopted. Co-sponsors. Mr. Majors, please read the title to Senate Bill 102.
Senate Bill 102 by Senator Holbert and Representative Lee concerning the continuation of the Securities Board in connection therewith implementing the recommendations of the 2014 Census Report by the Department of Regulatory Agencies.
Senator Scheffel.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move the Senate lay over Senate Bill 102 to March 6.
You have heard the motion. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, no. Senate Bill 102 will lay over until March 6th. General orders, second reading of bills, consent calendar. Senator Lambert.
Mr. President, I move the Senate resolves to open the committee of the whole for the consideration of general orders, second reading bills, consent calendar.
You have heard the motion, I am sure. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed, no. The Senate will resolve itself into the committee of the whole for the consideration of general orders, second reading of bills, consent calendar. Senator Lambert will take the chair.
Committee will come to order, and the court roll is relaxed. Mr. Majority Leader. Mr. Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I request that House Bill 1059 be removed from the general order second reading of bills consent calendar and added to the end of general order second reading of bills calendar.
The motion before the body is to request. All in favor say aye. Opposed, no. Okay, the motion is passed. Senate Bill or House Bill 1059 will lay over until the end of the second reading of bills general orders calendar. Mr. Majors, will you please read the title of all the bills of the general order second reading of bills consent calendar?
House Bill 1010 by Representatives Kraft, Harper, Norberg, and Senator John concerning a presumption that a trustee has notified a beneficiary when the trustee has adopted a beneficiary notification procedure in connection therewith, clarifying that a trustee may deliver information to beneficiaries electronically. House Bill 1028 by Representative Kaiser and Senator John concerning repeal of the mercantile licensing standards. House Bill 1071 by Representative Kaiser and Senator Hill concerning clarification that following a merger of entities, the surviving entity is entitled to control the pre-merger attorney-client privileges of a constituent entity. Senate Bill 171 by Senator Hill and Representative Moreno concerning the continuation of the Private Occupational Education Act of 1981 and in connection therewith implementing the recommendations of the 2014 Census Review of the Department of Regulatory Agencies.
Is there any discussion? The motion before the body is the adoption of all bills on the general order second reading of bills consent calendar. Senator Shovel.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I move the committee adopt all the bills listed on the general order second reading of bills consent calendar, which now includes House Bill 1010, House Bill 1028, House Bill 1071, and Senate Bill 171. And ask for an aye vote.
Okay, now, is there any discussion? The motion before the body is the adoption of all the bills on the general order second reading of bills consent calendar. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it, and the bills on the consent calendar are adopted. Majority Leader Shuffle.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I move the committee rise and report.
The motion for the body is to rise and report. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. The motion is adopted. The committee will rise and report.
Thank you. The Senate will come back to order. Senator Lambert.
Thank you, Mr. President. The committee's had a number of bills under consideration. Mr. Majors, would you please read the report?
March 2nd, 2015, Mr. President, your committee of the whole basic reports under consideration. The following tax bills being second reading thereof makes following recommendations thereon. Senate Bill 171 passed on second reading in order to gross place on the counter for third reading and final passage. House Bills 1010, 1028, and 1071 passed on second reading in order to revise place on the counter for third reading and final passage. House Bill 1059 removed from the general order second reading and bills consent calendar and placed at the end of the general order second reading and bills calendar for March 2nd, 2015.
Senator Lambert.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move for the adoption of the report.
You have heard the motion. Is there any discussion? Are there any no votes? With 35 ayes, 0 no, 0 absent, 0 excused, the committee of the whole report is adopted. Senate Bill 15-171 passed on second reading and ordered engrossed and placed on the calendar for third reading and final passage. House Bill 15-1010, 1028, 1071 passed on second reading and ordered revised and placed on the calendar for third reading and final passage. House Bill 15-1059 removed from the general order's second reading of bills consent calendar and placed at the end of the general order's second reading of bills calendar for March 2nd. General orders, second reading of bills. Senator Lambert.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move the Senate resolve itself in committee of the whole for consideration of the general order's second reading of bill calendar.
You have heard the motion. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, no. The Senate will resolve itself into the committee of the whole for the consideration of general order's second reading of bills. Senator Lambert will take the chair.
Committee will come to order and the court rules relaxed. Mr. Majors, please read the title to Senate Bill 135.
Senate Bill 135 by Senators Martinez, Humenick, and John concerning modifications to statutory provisions governing urban redevelopment affecting public bodies in connection with urban renewal projects.
Majority Leader Shuffle.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I move the committee lay over Senate Bill 135 to March 6.
The motion before the body is to lay over Senate Bill 135 until March 6th. All those in favor, please say aye. Those opposed, please say no. Motion is passed. Senate Bill 135 will be laid over until March 6th. Mr. Majors, please read the title to House Bill 1062.
House Bill 1062 by Representatives Melton and Lebsack, Senators Balmer and Sonnenberg concerning increasing the penalties for persons who engage in animal fighting.
Senator Balmer.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My distinguished colleague from Sterling and I are honored to bring to you House Bill 1062. Animal fighting is already illegal in Colorado, but this is going to increase the fines. It is not going to increase jail time, just fines. These are, and I do move House Bill 1062. If I failed to do so, Mr. Chairman, I apologize. These are horrific crimes of people that are, in a premeditated fashion, training dogs to fight each other or training different types of animals to fight each other. With the dogs, they often chain them up and starve them for a week before a fight. They don't feed them anything, and they abuse them. Sometimes they cut them. Sometimes they cut their ears off to make them absolutely as angry as they possibly can, and then they release them on each other. This is a horrible crime. It is happening And so I'm just asking that you increase the fine, and that's all the bill does. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Senator Sonnenberg.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members. This isn't about animal cruelty. This bill is about a blatant, meditated, inhumane treatment of living beings. Intentional. This increases the fines for intentional abuse, and that's what we're talking about. Those intentional abuses for when we try to anger animals, when we try to do those type of things to force creatures to fight. And not just fight for because, but fight till one of them most likely has to put down. That's why we come together here and ask for your help to make the punishment a meaningful punishment and vote for House Bill 1062.
Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, motion before the body is the adoption of House Bill 1062. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. No. Opinion of the chair, the ayes have it. That bill is adopted. Mr. Majors, please read the title of House Bill 1059.
House Bill 1059 by Representative Garnett and Senator Guzman concerning the Board of Directors of the Denver Health and Hospital Authority.
To the bill, Senator Guzman.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move House Bill 1059 on second reading, and I move the Health and Human Services Committee report.
That's proper motion to the Health and Human Services Committee report. Senator Guzman.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. In the Health and Human Services Committee, there was an amendment which was adopted, L002. Basically, it was stating about the decision of the board members to determine that a member of the board can be removed, and the amendment basically describes that the board has the ability to make the determination that if the board member has failed to perform his or her duties as a board member or has engaged in conduct detrimental to the authority of the board. And so I move the amendment and the committee report and the bill.
And Senator Guzman, I think you're just moving the committee report at this time. Okay. Senator Lundberg to the committee report.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I come down to describe the committee report from my perspective, having been the fly in the ointment that caused the amendment to be required. Because this bill is kind of a curious bill in the first place, because it's laying down the rules for this. Let's see, what's it called? Is it a committee or a task force or a commission or board of directors for the Denver Health and Hospital Authority, which is governed essentially by the city and county of Denver. But it's regulated by the statutes of the state of Colorado. And the bill authorizes the authority, the board members themselves, to recommend the removal of any board member that they thought appropriate, and the recommendation goes to the mayor. The concern I have is that, understand, a board that is appointed by elected officials, and this board is appointed by I believe it's the mayor and the city council, is not a self-appointing board. It's not a self-governing board in that sense. Therefore, in my opinion at least, it's inappropriate that that board be granted a great deal of latitude in removal of board members. So we put some guardrails on this and said, okay, if a board member just isn't working out because they cannot, even as the says, has failed to perform their duties as a board member or engaged in conduct detrimental to the authority of the board, then it is inappropriate for that board to say other than that. For example, if everybody else disagrees with that board member on a policy issue, that should be, in a sense, none of that board's business, because that member was appointed by elected officials to represent that perspective. So we're just trying to say, hey, a board cannot self-govern or police their policies by trying to get rid of a board member. So the committee report, I believe, is an appropriate amendment that does cut this line properly. I recommend an aye vote.
Senator Crowder, and just a reminder, we are speaking to the committee report. The committee report. Senator Crowder.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just come forward to support this amendment, or the committee report. You know, the problem with the bill was it had no teeth. So what we did with this amendment is gave that authority to that board to act like a board instead of just a tool of the mayor's office of Denver, Colorado. So I think we'll, and I'll talk again about it if need be, but I support the committee report as well as the amendment on the committee report. Thank you.
Is there any further discussion on the committee report? The motion before the body is the committee report from Health and Human Services on House Bill 1059. All in favor, please say aye. All opposed, nay? No? Okay, the committee report passes. Senator Guzman, to the bill, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Senate Bill 59, House Bill 1059 basically establishes a change in the number of board members to the board. It moves it from 9-member board of directors to 11, and then adds and each member then will serve a 5-year term, and now adds this amendment that we just passed.
Any further discussion? Senator Neville.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm wondering, with this amendment, it seems to me that the bill, I understand that it moves from 9 to 11, but I'm trying to understand the need for 2 more people on a 9-member board.
Senator Guzman.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We heard in committee the reason for this. Denver Health Authority is a major healthcare facility, and with the additions of all of the health care changes within our state and country, the members are given extra duties. They also are asked to serve on several other committees other than the board. There's a lot of board committees, subcommittees, and so forth and so on. And because there are some members of the board who are full-time employed, that they felt like they wanted to be able to have a greater opportunity to assign some of these committee assignments to a greater number of people. Also, they want to have membership from a variety of areas around the state. So I think those were the major reasons why the board is seeking additional members.
Senator Newell.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just wanted to echo that when I personally asked, what are your duties for this board? It was amazing, all of the different committees that each of the members is on for this one particular authority. And so I could understand why somebody who's not compensated and doing this just volunteer that they would need to spread the wealth of the work, so to speak. So, so that's why actually I asked the question, and their answer was, it is a phenomenal level of work. I was amazed. Anyway, thought that might help.
Senator Guzman.
Thank you. I believe there is, I think we need a senatorial 5. No, we don't. It's going to be another amendment.
There is almost an amendment on the desk.
A snap-
Now there's amendment on the desk. Mr. Majors, would you please read amendment L003?
Amendment L003 to House Bill 1059 by Senators Lundberg and Newell, amend the Health and Human Services Committee report dated February 25, 2015, page 1, line 6, strike or.
Senator Lundberg.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move L003.
Is there any discussion? Senator Lundberg.
Thank you, members. This is a substantive amendment on second reading in the final House. It is changing the word "or" on the committee report to the word "of," because it was a typographical error. So actually, in reality, it's just changing the letter R to the letter F, but it does cover the whole word. I urge its adoption.
Senator Guzman.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I fully support this amendment and really appreciate my colleagues on the other side checking out the work of the House members on the other side of the building. And so I support this.
Is there any further discussion? The motion before the body is the adoption of Amendment L003. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. The ayes have it. Amendment L003 is adopted. To the bill, Senator Guzman.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I now, I guess, want to move the House Bill 1059 on second reading and ask for an aye vote.
Okay, the motion before the body is the adoption of House Bill 1059 as amended. All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed say no. Okay, the ayes have it. House Bill 1059 is adopted. Majority Leader Shuffle.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I move the committee rise and report.
The motion before the body is to rise and report. All in favor say aye. Opposed say no. Committee will rise and report.
Thank you. The Senate will come to order. Senator Lambert.
Thank you, Mr. President. Committee has met and has had a number of bills under consideration. Mr. Majors, please read the report.
March 2nd, 2015, Mr. President, your committee of the whole basic reports under consideration. The following task bills being second reading thereof makes following recommendations thereon. House Bill 1062, House Bill 1059 as amended, passed on second reading in order to revise place the calendar for third reading and final passage. Senate Bill 135 laid over until March 6, 2015, retaining its place on the calendar.
Senator Lambert.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move for the adoption of the committee report.
Is there further discussion on the committee of the whole report? Are there any no votes? With 35 ayes, 0 noes, 0 absent, 0 excused, the committee of the whole report is adopted. House Bill 1062 and House Bill 1059 is amended, passed on second reading in order to revise and place on the calendar for third reading and final passage. Senate Bill 135 laid over until March 6th and retaining its place on the calendar. Consideration of House amendments to Senate bills. Mr. Majors, please read the title to Senate Bill 85.
Senate Bill 85 by Senator Martinez, Humanic, and Representatives Winter and Buck concerning the expansion of the Colorado Cottage Foods Act in connection therewith increasing the net revenue a producer can earn under the act.
Colleagues, we are on official business right now. Senator Martinez, Humanic.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that the Senate reject the House amendment to Senate Bill 85 and that a conference committee be appointed. And
How does that reject? Senator Martinez, Humanic, continue.
the reason that I would like to have this rejected is that the House did forget to insert one word that drastically changes the act, and it allows LLCs from out of state to actually participate. And this was put into place for small entrepreneurs here in Colorado only.
You have heard the motion. Is there further discussion? Are there any no votes? With 35 ayes, 0 no, 0 absent, 0 excused, the Senate will reject House amendments to Senate Bill 85, and a conference committee will be formed. Senator Ulibarri, Senator Crowder, and Senator Martinez Humanic as chair. Senator Martinez Humanic.
All right. Thank you, Mr. President. I move that the conference committee be granted permission to go beyond the scope of the differences between the two houses.
Yeah, would you explain the request to go beyond the scope?
So I just say what I said again?
Yeah, explain why this goes beyond the scope.
This goes beyond the scope because the bill as was intended, as well as the amendment from the House as intended, will drastically change the meaning of this act, which that was not the intention.
The Senate's going to stand in a brief recess. The Senate will come to order. Senator Martinez Humanic.
Thank you, Mr. President. The reason this goes beyond the scope is because there is a word that needs to be inserted that was not in the Senate version nor the House version, and it needs to be taken care of. So I would ask for approval.
I have to ask, and the word is?
Only.
Excellent. And the word is? You have heard the motion. Are there any no votes? That motion passed. All those in favor say aye. Those opposed, no. That motion passes. You are granted the capacity to go beyond the scope only for Senate Bill 85. Mr. Majors, please read the title of Senate Bill 161.
Senate Bill 161 by Senator Lambert, Representative Hamner, concerning a supplemental appropriation to the Department of Revenue.
Senator Lambert.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move the Senate reject the House amendments to Senate Bill 161 and that a conference committee be appointed.
You have heard the motion. Is there further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. Are there any no votes to include in that? there any no votes? 35 ayes, 0 no, 0 absent, 0 excused. The Senate will reject House amendments to Senate Bill 161 and form a conference committee. I don't have them. Senator Stedman, Senator Grantham, and Senator Lambert will be on the conference committee. Senator Lambert will be the chair. Consideration of governor's appointments consent calendar. Mr. Majors, please read all the governor's appointments on the governor's appointments consent calendar.
Members of the Board of Real Estate Appraisers for terms expiring July 1st, 2017. Richard L. Shields of Centennial, Colorado, serve as a licensed or certified appraiser appointed. Mark Douglas Chapin of Eagle, Colorado, serve as a county assessor in office appointed. Bruce Warren Willard of Greeley, Colorado, serves as a licensed or certified appraiser reappointed. Dean Lawrence Davenport of Arvada, Colorado, serves as an officer or employee of a commercial bank experienced in real estate lending reappointed. Member of the Public Employees Retirement Benefit Plans for a term expiring July 10th, 2018. Lynn E. Turner of Broomfield, Colorado, serves as a representative with experience and competence in investment management, finance, banking, economics, accounting, pension administration, or actuarial analysis, and as a Democrat reappointed.
Majority Leader Scheffel.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that the Senate confirm the governor's appointments listed on the consideration of government's appointments consent calendar, which includes members of the Board of Real Estate Appraisers and the member of the Public Employees Retirement Benefit Plans.
Is there further discussion on any of the appointments on the consent calendar? Are there any no votes? With 35 ayes, 0 no, 0 absent, 0 excused, Richard L. Shields, Mark Douglas Chapin, Bruce Warren Willard, and Deanne Lawrence Davenport are confirmed on the Board of Real Estate Appraisers. With 35 ayes, 0 no, 0 absent, 0 excused, Lynn E. Turner is confirmed on the Public Employees Retirement Benefit Plans Board. Message from the House.
March 2nd, 2015, Mr. President, the House has passed on third reading Transmitted Advisory Statutes, House Bill 1188 as amended. The House has passed on third reading and returns herewith Senate Bill 57.
Message from the Reviser.
March 2nd, 2015, we herewith transmit without comment as amended House Bill 1188.
Announcements. Senator Heath.
Thank you, Mr. President. I ask for a moment of personal privilege.
Granted.
Thank you. Colleagues, I need to be gone tomorrow afternoon and Wednesday, so I ask to be excused. And I have talked to the leadership on both sides of the aisle.
Senator Heath will be excused on the dates requested. Senator John.
Thank you, Mr. President. And I need to be excused for this afternoon at 1, and I have spoken to leadership on both sides of the aisle.
Senator John will be excused as requested. Senator Crowder.
Thank you, Mr. President. What I'd like to do is introduce some folks to you. They're here from La Junta. Oh, Mr. President, could I have a moment of personal privilege?
Granted.
Thank you, Mr. President. What I'd like to do is introduce you to some students from La Junta. They're actually seniors from southeastern Colorado and La Junta. They're the La Junta Tigers, and they're up here for Colorado Close-Up. But I would like you to join me and welcome them to Denver. Thank you.
Senator Todd.
Thank you, Mr. President. And just very quickly want to remind everyone today is Read Across America Day. Dr. Seuss, we don't have the little striped hat with us this morning, but do want to just remind each and every one of us how important it is to lend a hand and help those who need our help. I attended a meeting this morning at Ashley Elementary School in Denver Public Schools, and it was so impressive to see and hear all these little children so excited about reading and who read the most books last week.
Colleagues, let's give each other consideration. Please continue, Senator Todd.
Thank you, Mr. President. And part of the reason that they are being successful is the partnerships. So the governor has proclaimed this week, or this month, to be Read Across America and Reading Partners. And so check out your districts and find out if you have Reading Partners programs. Ooh, that's kind of fun to say, Reading Partners programs in your district, because these are volunteers who come in and actually read with the children, and we're seeing great success with their scores going up and their readability increasing. So thank you, and pick up a good book or a good article and read just for fun today. Not a bill, but just read for fun. Thanks.
Further announcements. Any quotes from Horton? Here's a who. Majority Leader Scheffel.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, Mr. President. I move the Senate adjourn to 9 a.m. Tuesday, March 3rd.
You have heard the motion. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. The Senate will adjourn until Tuesday, March 3rd, 9 a.m.